Hey world, welcome to the Sherese Nicole Podcast. I created this space where I'll discuss life lessons, personal stories, observations, unsolicited advice, and ramblings that go on in my chattering mind. Every so often, I will pull in guests to provide different perspectives and discuss a range of topics from nutrition to travel and all things in between. So without further ado, let's get into it. So today's episode, I'm joined by another guest. I always say special guest, but all my guests are special. But today, today super special because this guest I met via Instagram, one of my Instagram friends. And lately, I feel like this is something that I do pretty easily, actually, is like making connections with people via Instagram. So my guest, Alexis, and we met on my food page Instagram, which is Sherese Nicole _ And I actually don't know how I ended up following her page. I don't know how I ended up following you.
I think I followed you first.
Okay. And then I saw that you were like vegan lifestyle, healthy lifestyle. So I'm like, okay, that's like similar content to me. So I followed you. So yeah, do you remember who was the first to reach out? I feel like it was me.
I'm not sure.
I feel like it was me.
I think it was you. I think
probably.
You slid up on me first.
I had to because I was like, no, we have way too much in common. And then I asked you what your sign was. And then you're like, Sag. And then I was like, me too. I was like, when's your birthday? And then you told me, and I was like, mine is November 24th. So like, I think our birthday's like a couple days apart.
5 days apart.
Yeah. So I'm like, you know what? No, I know. I knew this.
Yeah, I sensed the energy. I'm like, yeah, this is my Insta bestie. Literally. Thank you so much for having me.
No
I
problem.
am so excited. We always have really great conversations, so I'm happy that your listeners will be able to get some insight on the things that we talk about.
Yes.
But my name is Alexis Kennedy, and I am mostly known for being a holistic health advocate and a plant-based food blogger who shares my healing journey, easy recipes, health tips, reviews, and my overall lifestyle as a Black vegan. But I do think there is a lot to me more than that. I am someone who is very spontaneous and outgoing. I love to travel just like you. And
you're explaining me, you're describing me right now.
Literally, and explore the world around me. I love to sing, create. I am a professional DIYer. And I love to read and research. I'm always learning about something. And most importantly, I see myself as a spiritual and divine soul who was put on this earth for a reason. And every day I am so grateful that I have the opportunity to arise and be able to walk on the path of fulfilling my purpose, which I do think a large part of that is helping people and sharing my healing journey with others and showing how they too can heal themselves naturally. Because I know what it's like to be scared or in pain and suffering and thinking that there's no way out or no one can relate to you. But I just want to show people that there is light at the end of the tunnel. And the first thing is looking within yourself, because once I stopped looking for outside solutions and realizing that everything I needed was inside me, that's when I experienced true healing. And one of my favorite things about the healing journey is that it's everlasting. There's always more work to be done. And I'm really excited for you guys to get some insight on my vegan journey and my overall healing journey. So, yeah.
We're so similar because everything you're saying, I'm like, yep, me too.
Yeah.
So it's just, it makes sense why we were able to connect so easily.
Yeah, that was from the jump though. Seriously.
Yeah. And like, look at that. Like you ended up following me first and I don't even know how.
I really don't. Something must have just drawn me to your page. I think it was definitely like the Candida diet. During that time, I think I was doing a Candida diet or I had already done one.
That was probably it.
And I've never seen Black people, for example, just doing that diet. It was always mostly white people. So I'm like, oh my gosh, someone that looks like me is doing a diet that I did.
That's why I even got on YouTube, because I was like, I would look for videos from people like me sharing their stories. And I didn't see that. Maybe I saw 1 or 2 videos, but they did it years ago. But I got to be that perspective for other Black women or just people of color that, can resonate. Exactly. That can resonate with like, what I'm going through. And Yeah.
Amazing.
So, yes, you're vegan. How long have you been vegan for? Like, tell me about that journey. How did you get into veganism?
I have been vegan, and mostly I just say I'm plant-based, but I alternate the words sometimes. A lot of people are strict about it, but I'm not. I just eat a lot of plant-based foods.
Mm-hmm.
So I have been vegan for almost 2 years now, I think. Yeah, so
Wow.
almost 2 years in October. And my life before veganism, I was the typical teenager. I ate the standard American diet. And one of my main issues I dealt with was a painful menstrual cycle, to
Mm-hmm.
the point where most women bleed once a month. I bled twice a month, and I
Oh.
would bleed for 7 to 9 days at a time. So think about like 14 days out of a month, you're bleeding and you're in pain. And for a lot of my life, it handicapped me. So I had the painful menstrual cycles. I had a very poor immune system, to the point where if something was going around, just know I caught it. Like,
Wow.
it doesn't matter what it was, but I always caught whatever was going around. I was always sick with tissue and hand sanitizer. A few other things. I had hormonal imbalances, iron deficiency, stomach issues, nausea, dizziness, just a variety of ailments. And then when it comes to my transition, I had always considered myself to be a healthy person. I thought that loading a salad with pork, bacon, chicken, highly processed dressing, and tons of cheese, I thought that was healthy. I thought that that was what my body needed. But my entire ideology of health has definitely evolved over the years as I've learned more about food, the body, and just overall healing. Back then, I didn't know that all of the issues I was struggling with could be fixed naturally. Like, I didn't understand the power of raw fruits, vegetables, herb detoxification. I just thought these were the cards I was dealt, and these are just the
That was
issues
your
I'm going to
life.
have to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I just thought, like, I could go to the doctor, get a prescription for whatever I was dealing with, not knowing that the solution for my issues required for me to look at my body as a whole and get to the root cause of what was causing these symptoms. And these symptoms or side effects were just an imbalance within my body. For example, in 2017, when I was going to college, my mom took me to the doctor. And she took me to the doctor because of my painful periods, and she didn't want me to go away from home and experience those periods at college and miss so much school, because it really was a big part of my life and something that defined me for a while. And the doctor prescribed me birth control for my painful periods.
Mm-hmm.
And back then, I didn't know much about birth control. I didn't know the dangers of birth control, which mainly depletes the body of minerals with side effects like hormonal imbalance, infertility, kidney issues, deficiencies. So this right here is what really kickstarted my healing journey and forced me to like pay attention to my health. So just 3 months into my freshman year of college, I gained 30 pounds. I had extreme food cravings. I was eating like 24 cookies a week. Seriously. I
Wow.
was bloating to the point I could eat a small piece of fruit and I would look 5 months pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
And I was irritable. My immune system was even worse, like that was even possible. But hey, I was thick. My skin was glowing. And I had a period once every 3 months with birth control. So I'm like, I'm winning.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really care. So I'm like, I can deal with those side effects. It doesn't matter. But it wasn't until one day my boyfriend and I were just joking, like, I wonder who could be vegetarian the longest. And we just went vegetarian. And
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know during this time, I didn't pay attention that during this time I started experiencing severe migraines. And I didn't pay attention to how these two may have went together, my vegetarian diet and me experiencing migraines. I just thought it was stress from school or from work. But I started experiencing these migraines where I'll have to be in a room with the lights turned off, no noise. Like, I couldn't even go out to events because my head was hurting so bad. And during this time, I had a roommate, and she was really into natural things. And she recommended me to try her lavender oil and rubbing it on certain points of my body
Mm-hmm.
and then laying down. And it was like lessening the severity of my migraines. So
Ooh.
when this happened, I'm like, wait, if there's something natural that can help lessen the severity of these migraines, is there something natural that can prevent these migraines altogether? And mind you, when I started the vegetarian diet, I started substituting all my meat for dairy, cheese, and sour cream. I was loading up on that stuff.
Which is all mucus producing
yes,
food.
all mucus forming. So
yeah.
I'm like, so is there something natural? So I started falling in this rabbit hole of holistic health, and I started researching all these influential figures like Dr. Sebi and medical medium. And I didn't really apply the stuff, you know, I was just like, it's whatever. But eventually, like the following summer, I decided I cared about my health, and I was sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Yep.
Yes. Like, so I decided I was going to stop my birth control. And what better way to stop my birth control than to go vegan along with that? So that's what I did.
Okay.
And here I am now.
Wow. There's so many changes that come with changing your diet. Just some people think it's just like, oh, you're just changing what you're eating. But no, this took you down a course of like spirituality. Before I get into that, I wanted to mention that. Isn't it so interesting that like these things aren't even taught in schools? And I always think about how many people are experiencing digestive issues or ailments caused by leaky gut or something wrong with their digestive system, that they aren't even like, they're not making that connection because no one tells you about it. Doctors don't know about it. No one's telling you. So a lot of like the reason I even know about candida and like my gut health is because one day my mom was like, you should try a naturopath. And I was like, what's a naturopath? So I had to learn about what that was. And then I went into it with an open mind, but only because of that. And then when I did, and I tried, you know, what she prescribed to me, she's like, change your diet and all this stuff, was I then enlightened. And that's where my healing journey started. So, but like things, you know, but before that, I didn't know that bread was so bad for me, that dairy was so bad for me, that sugar was so bad for me. But it's just so interesting that this isn't taught. No one tells us. You really have to do your own research and you know, learn this for yourself. But so yes, you changed your diet and that opened up your mind to all these possibilities. Like it's kind of like a rebirth. That's what I like to think.
Exactly. My life now is dramatically different from what it used to be. For the first time in my life, I feel like I am truly living. Now I know in the past, I wasn't living. I was just existing.
You were existing.
I was so used to feeling sick that I did not even know it was possible to feel this good. Like the more I eat from the herb, the more aligned I feel with it and the more electric I feel. It's like when I upgraded the food I was putting into my body, my entire life upgraded. I'm talking people, opportunities, and everything else I could want out of this life was falling right into my lap. And being able to manifest whatever I desired and knowing that it was going to come true. It's just, I'm so blessed and honored to be able to share my journey with others and show this can be you too. And of course, there's still a long journey ahead. Like so far, I've successfully cured my iron deficiency, my digestive issues, my immune system. I have not been sick in 2 years. Seriously.
Wow.
My menstrual cycle and more just naturally. And one of my favorite things about where I'm at now is the ability, being so in tune with my body to the point where if it's trying to communicate something to me, I'm able to listen to it and interpret and do exactly what it needs me to do. And it shows. So
like, what do you mean? Can you explain? Give me an example.
So for example, I'll have days where when I arise, I'm not hungry. And, you know, somebody like your doctor or just society tells us we're supposed to eat a large meal as soon as we wake up. Sometimes I'll have days where my body's like, Lex, you don't need any solid foods. Like, you should probably just fast for the day. Like, your body feels tired, run down. And I can feel like, okay, my body does not need any food. It's backed up right now. I need to give it a break. And that's when I'll do a juice fast. Like, I try to listen to it as much as I can, if that makes sense.
I get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I get it. So like right now, currently, I've actually been intermittent fasting pretty much since the start of quarantine. I was like, you know what? breakfast, who needs it? And I've never really been a big breakfast person anyways, but nowadays what I do is, well, since March, I've been just getting up, drinking waters, liquids, whatever, up until 12 p.m. And then I'll
Yes.
eat until almost like 8 p.m. And
Hmm.
I've just like, basically I've created a routine for my body. So it really knows like when I get up in the morning, like I'm just good. I'm good. I'll
Yeah.
just go. And like even this morning, I went for a bike ride. I did the most
Yeah.
physical activity on an empty stomach, and it was fine. Whatever.
Yeah. And that's the thing. A lot of people think the healing journey is just burning sage, rainbows, eating fruit, but it's not always pretty. And
Yeah.
sometimes it can be scary, but that's what makes it beautiful. Healing from these past traumas and learning more about your body. And like right now, you said you're trying intermittent fasting and seeing how your body reacts. It's a lot of
Mhm.
experimenting with it, and it's not going to always be good. There has to be good and bad
Balance.
balance.
No, that's what life is, and that's what a healing journey is. Because, and we've had these discussions before, but me putting my content on YouTube, and I say this all the time in my other episodes, but putting my content on YouTube, I feel like people thought that it was like a straight line, like I was trending towards health and happiness and perfect.
Yeah,
But no,
yeah,
like sometimes I'll be good, and then I'll retract, and I'll eat things I know I shouldn't or whatever, and
yeah.
then I'll feel bad about that, and then I'll go back to eating healthy again. It's just not it's just not a linear line. It doesn't happen like that for me. And I feel like for me as of late, it's like I can't say I'm perfect with the diet. I'm not perfect with my eating habits. I haven't been. And because I'm an emotional eater and I
Yeah.
eat due to stress. But I
Hmm.
feel like what's really been helping me now, what my healing journey has incorporated now, has been yoga, movement, cardio, exercise, meditation,
Yeah.
writing,
And it's more
journaling.
than just food.
It's
Like you
more
said,
than
it's more
food.
than it's your daily lifestyle practices. It's the energy you're surrounding yourself with. It's the things you're listening to, because a lot of the
Yeah.
things you listen to, you don't even know it's affecting your mood.
And you know what? That's why every day, so like I'm on this whole path of keeping my vibrations high, or at least
Yeah.
not past a certain point. And it's like
Hmm.
I'm getting better at listening to my emotions, like you, like keeping track of, oh, I don't feel so good right now. Why is that? Okay, let me switch
Yeah.
on and think about something better, or let me try to get myself in higher vibrations. Or I read a chapter of my book every day, or I'll write in my journal. I have to do some sort of practice that keeps me coming
Yeah.
back like
Exactly.
consistently.
And that's all that matters, because, like you said, like we both said, it's all about balance and paying attention to what you're consuming. These are the things that's going to be playing in your subconscious. So it's like you're saying, like, oh, it may be boring to some, but this is what is going to help you in your future success as a whole,
Mhm.
emotionally, mentally, physically, just being able to thrive, because this is what you're putting your time and your effort into.
This is the inner work that we do on our downtime every day that will lead up to us being like this changed, evolved person.
Exactly.
And like,
Baby steps.
right? And then like so many of my friends already now, they're just like, you're on a different energy, you're on a different vibe. And I'm like,
Love
good.
it.
Like
Yeah.
I'm glad you noticed, because
Yeah.
I've been putting in work, and I mean, I'm here to change. I'm here to level up. I'm here to evolve. Like I don't want to
That's the
stay the
whole
same.
point.
Yeah.
No, like there's no fun in staying the same.
No.
Yeah.
Mm-mm. So tell me about, because you're a spiritual person like I am, and we know that
Yeah,
healing and I think all of your changes wasn't just like diet, like we said.
of
It was
course. Yeah.
aligning yourself with more earth grown foods.
Hmm.
Also had a part to play in your spiritual evolution, I'd say. Can you say that?
Yes.
And like, so
Yes.
tell me about that.
Yes, of course. I have learned that spirituality and food literally go hand in hand. And it all comes down to frequency. I speak a lot about this on my blog, but everything in the universe is made up of energy, all vibrating at different frequencies.
Mm-hmm.
So this includes colors, shapes, animals, you, me. We all have our own frequencies. I think with light being the highest. And I remember growing up in maybe elementary or middle school and learning about Albert Einstein and the famous quote that energy cannot be created or
Destroyed.
destroyed. It
Mm-hmm.
can only be changed from one form to another. And when you think about this, let's take an example of a pig. When a pig is in the slaughterhouse, it's scared, it's worry, it's in pain, it's being beaten, and all these other things. So all of these emotions are being released into this pig before it gets to your plate. So when the pig is killed and made and put on your plate, these are the things that you are putting into your body. So sometimes we wake up and we feel a certain way and we're like, why am I feeling depressed or anxious? And it's like, sometimes we have to look at, what am I eating? Mm-hmm. Seriously. And it's like, my body is living. I am an electrical being. So how could I expect optimal fuel from dead flesh? So it's like practicing self-care with my body and nourishing it with living high vibrational foods has allowed me to reach a point in my spiritual journey that I think would have been impossible for me to reach if I hadn't changed my lifestyle and the things that I was putting into my body. Mm-hmm. I feel light, clean, and mentally clear after I eat. And that's something I didn't experience before changing my diet. Usually, like, especially on holidays, you know, when you load up your food and you got the itis and you're tired and you just feel like you're going to pass out, like, mm-hmm. Understanding that food shouldn't make you feel that way.
It shouldn't.
After you eat, you should really be ready to run a marathon.
And a lot of people don't think that way either. I didn't know that I was supposed to feel energized after eating. I was like, oh, yeah. Wait, aren't I supposed
I didn't
to be tired?
either. Yeah.
Okay, so one thing about me, I still eat meat, but I'm very conscious and aware of like all of that. But mm-hmm. like as of late, like even today I had chicken wings, but like I didn't really enjoy them. I was just like, ugh. Sometimes when I eat meat, I think about what I'm eating. I'm like, oh, yeah.
So you're definitely close. You're definitely close to your
okay, transition. But like, what do you think though? Because do you think that there can be spiritual people that still eat meat?
Of course. I mean, of course. But I do think there is a block. I considered myself spiritual, but back then I didn't know I could reach this type of spiritualness that I feel now. Like walking outside and literally feeling at one with all that is. I'm saying speaking something, you look up and the words are in front of you on a sign, or like it's like magic in a way. It really is like magic. And these are the things that, like you said, they don't teach you in school. So I do think that there isn't one diet for everybody. I do believe that. But I do think that everyone can benefit from a plant-based diet.
Mm-hmm. To some extent, right? Because
to some extent, yeah.
One of my favorite food YouTubers, she always like coins the term like intuitive eating. And so she was plant-based. And then one day she made a video. She was like, hey guys, I am not 100% plant-based anymore. I think she incorporated egg and fish into her diet, and she felt way better because like when she was just eating plant-based, like she had some issues and stuff. But then when she started incorporating eggs and fish, she was like, I feel so great. Don't quote me, but she was like, I don't want to say that you should eat one way. There is no one way for any one person. I can't tell you what's good for you, but for me, like this is what I'm doing. I believe in intuitive eating. So I really like that term, like intuitive eating.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if I'll ever, I don't know, because at first I was like, yeah, I want to get to a point where I never eat meat. And then I was like, wait, what's wrong with it? At least once in a while, or at least fish, because I really like fish. And then I'm like, well, am I like less than if I eat fish? Because you know what? That's what I think it is. Veganism is very, it gets a bad rep for being elitist. Yeah. And there's like some videos I've seen online about vegans judging whether other vegans are vegan enough. And it was a crazy video. Yeah. This one guy was like, yeah, I'm vegan. And he's like, yeah, I go to Taco Bell, but I only eat the whatever, let's say, I don't know, something that could be vegan at Taco Bell. And then there was this other vegan girl in the video and she'd be like, but what do they use in their tortilla shells or Like, you know, she would just kind of like pick it apart and be like, no, well, that is a cross contamination of like dairy, therefore you're not vegan. And it was like, it was disturbing to see almost. And I was like, wow, because I know that there's some vegans that feel like they're better than anyone just because they're vegan. So like, how do you, and I know you said that you're more plant-based than vegan.
Exactly. And
is it because of that reason or?
Because vegan, I feel like, is so broad. Like you can be plant-based and you can be vegan. You can be a junk food vegan. Like there's so many different types of vegans. And just because you're vegan, that's one thing I want to stress, does not mean you are healthier than someone who eats meat. because I have seen vegans go eat the Burger King double Whopper every single day, and I'm not judging, but
That
or
has meat
it's
in it
the
though, right?
no, like they have a
Oh,
vegan
they have a
Whopper now or
vegan. Oh,
something,
okay, okay.
or like they eat the Impossible Burger, but that still has just as many chemicals. You might as well be eating the real thing, you know? So I definitely have seen the whole vegan Olympics things, like I'm this better vegan, I'm this. And the whole main point is, I mean, people can do what they want, but one thing I try to emphasize and share on my page and on my media is that eat for what makes you feel good. I never want to press somebody to be something that they don't feel comfortable with. But I have had people come to me and say, you know, I've tried out these tips and I feel so great. But somebody else might try it out and they don't feel too great. So, like you said, intuitive eating. I think the elitist vegans definitely scare people away from being vegan. And I do think there is a common misconception that veganism is for white people.
Yep.
And I want to show that that is not true. And a lot of diets, especially in southern regions, are heavily emphasized on plant-based foods and have been for over hundreds of years. I mean, this conversation could go on and on. There's so many different points, but the main thing is the main takeaway, guys, is eat for you. Eat for what makes you feel best. There are high vibrational foods and there are low vibrational foods. If you are thinking about taking your spiritual journey to the next level, I would suggest a plant-based diet. But if that's not for you, it's not for you. And life is all about experimenting. And try not to stick yourself in such a small bubble that you're afraid to explore or afraid what other people might think. Because I do see like some vegans, they stop being vegan and they lose half of their following. It's
That's
just like,
crazy.
this is life. You evolve, you change, and that's okay.
It should be okay. Like some people attacked her for when the food blogger
I
that I'm
feel like
talking
I
about.
know who you're talking about too, but I don't want
Wonders,
to
I can just say her
name.
name. Teach
Yeah.
Wonder. She's my fave.
Yes, I know exactly.
And it was like disturbing. I was like, those people are crazy. Oh no,
But
what's
they
going
weren't
on
meant
with
to
my
be
video?
following her. Oh my God. Wait. Oh, it looked like a movie cover or like a music video. I don't know what I thought
My
that was.
laptop. I need a new laptop. Universe, please send me a
Look, I thought it
MacBook.
was mine.
No, it's
Look, asking you shall receive. That's what the
listen,
universe said.
listen, no, I have a whole notebook only for it's like my good vibrations notebook.
Yeah.
And well, whatever, I shouldn't be sharing it, but whatever. So in it, I only put things that keep me in high vibrations, or it's like a way for me to get into a better feeling state. And
Yeah.
I wrote something about, thank you for this MacBook. I love it. It's so fast. It's so this, it's so that. So I'm scripting it. I'm trying to manifest that MacBook because I
Go
want it.
ahead,
Well, I
girl. You're
need it.
gonna get it too. Look, it's yours.
It is
My favorite
mine,
thing is
right?
I have this
I
MacBook.
have, yeah. And like
It's right in my lap.
another thing, like they always say, like when you're manifesting, speak it as if it is like exists, and also feel it into existence. I
Yes,
think
and
that's really
imagine it. The best
imagine
thing
it.
is picturing. I promise. Picturing things in my head, like dreaming while you're awake.
I do that all the time.
Yes,
I did that
literally.
as a kid. I'm in my head a
Yes.
lot. And I remember
Yeah.
one person was like, you dream too much. You're such a daydreamer. Like it was a bad thing. And I'm like, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Like, I love doing it.
And look at you now.
But the thing is, people, I don't think people realize it, but we always visualize what we're going to do before we do it. Let's say if I was like, oh, I'm going to barbecue today with friends, I'm thinking about it in my head. Me barbecuing with friends today. That's me visualizing it. Everyone does it and they don't realize it. So it's interesting. Okay, so I want to circle back on when you said there's a misconception about vegans being, mostly vegans being white, but there's so many Black vegans out there. Like, why did you think that it was so important for you to be a representation of that? Like, how do you show your audience that, this is attainable, this is easy to do?
Yes. So I definitely show my audience that mainly through the misconception that being vegan or eating vegan is expensive. And one thing that you will find out when you transition to a plant-based diet, or if you just pay attention to when you're buying groceries, is that plant-based foods, staple foods like beans, legumes, pasta, they're actually less expensive than meat. And the only time, which could be beneficial when you're first transitioning, is the new processed meats slash mock meats that are like the vegan nuggets or veggie burgers, that's when you can find yourself spending more money than someone who eats meat, because those can be expensive.
Yeah.
But showing how I meal prep or make $10 and under meals, I really try to emphasize that on my page, because eating vegan doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to put a hole in your pockets. As long as you're emphasizing whole plant-based foods, you actually reap more benefits when you do it that way than sticking to the junk food route. So that is a big misconception. But another common misconception that I'm sure even meat eaters have heard or have believed, and vegans get this question a lot, is where do you get your protein? And many people think that if you only eat plant-based foods, you will become protein deficient, but that is not the case. I'm going to say this slowly, but all protein comes from plants. Yes, all proteins come from plants. And only plants have the ability to take nitrogen from the air, while depending on bacteria to convert that nitrogen to a form that they can use. So you have these nitrates that are taken through the roots of a plant and then converted to amino acids, which then turn into proteins, like this whole process. And to put it in simple terms, the protein that people get from eating animals is just recycled protein. So in this instance, it's like, why not go straight to the source? The average American eats double the amount of protein than what is actually required. And really high protein diets can be linked to things like cancer, heart disease, and diabetes. So this is always a common concern that people message me about, like, am I going to go protein deficient? Like, how am I going to get my protein? I want to work out. It's like, you don't have to worry at all. Protein comes from plants. You good, girl. You got it.
Which plants? Let the audience know, because I'm like, all I'm thinking in my head is like beans. Yeah.
Okay,
Kale,
so
right?
so you have beans, lentils, even grains, quinoa, seeds, nuts. There's so many different types, and pairing it up like rice and beans is a good way to get your protein in. There's so many. Yeah.
It's true. Okay, no excuses. And also on the grocery bill, it's obviously way cheaper to get bulk beans, rice, or quinoa, not rice. And then the produce. So the only thing that you need to buy often is produce, because like you should only have that for about a week. You can't hold on to that too long. And then
I try to show some tips about how I can make produce last 2 weeks. And that's example, like things like the herbs like cilantro and parsley, but it's just some things, because sometimes if I don't take care of my vegetables correctly or store them correctly, they'll go bad in 2 days. You know, like you go to the store and you get some kale and it's already limpy by day 2. So I like to post a lot of quick little DIYs or tips on how to store your vegetables.
Okay, cool. Yeah, definitely check out Alexis's page, everybody.
Thank you. It's at Alexis Kennedy ____.
Yes, I will have all of that in the description of this episode, so they can't miss it. And was there a third point you wanted to mention?
Another one is calcium. A lot of people ask me, what about calcium? Don't I need to drink cow's milk for strong bones? And the whole Got Milk advertisement campaign thing that we saw growing up in all the newspapers with celebrities with the milk mustaches, that was simply false advertisement. You can get all the calcium you need from plants like green leafy vegetables, legumes, seed butters. And research shows that consuming cow's milk can actually be linked to osteoporosis and bone fractures. So it's kind of actually the opposite of what they've been campaigning all these years. And you have conditions like eczema, acid reflux, acne, diseases like heart disease and cancer, which can all be linked to dairy consumption.
And I think it's just so evil that they pump millions of dollars into these marketing campaigns and ads, put them in schools for kids, and like really brainwash people to believe that, you know, drinking milk is healthy for you. I remember the one memory I have of my dad being like, drink this milk. You need to finish it. And I was and I was a kid, and I was struggling I'm like, I don't like it. I don't like it. And I couldn't finish it. And he was so mad that I wasted it. But like, what are you doing to me? But he didn't
Yeah.
know. He didn't know,
And
right?
he was just doing what he was taught. And it's like
Mhm.
recycled down the generations of, you have this whole thing where a lot of the diseases, they aren't genetic. These are just dietary choices that have been passed down, and they're just
Down the
linked to your
lineage.
diet. Yeah.
And that's another thing. Like, people think like, oh yeah, this runs in my family, so I'm definitely getting it. Like, for example, in my family, there's high blood pressure and what is it? High blood pressure and something else. And it's like, yeah, it's in the family, so you better be careful. I'm like, listen, I'm not getting that.
Yeah, look, you
Like,
don't have to worry
no,
about me because I'm paying attention and taking care of what I'm putting into my body.
that
And
too.
another thing, like with the pharmaceutical industry, it's a $1 trillion industry. They don't create cures, they create customers. So the whole ads, you drinking milk, especially in the Black community, most of the world is lactose intolerant. Especially within the Black community, it's something to
Black
keep
and
you
Asian.
sick.
Mm-hmm.
Black and Asian, yeah. It's something to keep you
It's
sick.
messed up.
And if you're sick, you're going to go to the doctor. You're going to get a prescription, and that prescription is going to treat what you have for a little bit, but it's going to cause 10,000 other side effects. And then you're going to have to go back to the doctor to treat those side effects. And it's just an
It never ends.
ongoing cycle.
It never ends.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah, I just, I want to bring people into the light, be like, this could be your
Look,
life. It's just
look.
so interesting. And it's crazy to me because it's like, there's people that are smart people, not doctor, scientists, like judges, lawyers, like smart
Mhm.
people out there that aren't smart when it comes to their
Yeah.
health. It's
Yeah.
crazy, but
But
I don't know.
that's the difference between people who research for themselves and people who depend on other people to supply them with the truth. You can't
Mhm.
depend on anybody. You have to go out there and look into things for yourself because you don't know what's true or what's not, or what's being pushed on you for profit. You
Mhm.
have to question everything.
Okay, so what are some tips that you would give anyone who's interested in changing their diet or wants to try it out?
I have quite a few tips, but the first thing I want to acknowledge, I've already talked about this a little bit, but just understanding that all of our bodies are different and have
Mhm.
different needs that need to be catered to in different ways. And I've experienced with diets like the Candida diet, the standard American diet, the alkaline diet, the vegetarian diet, and a whole food plant-based diet is what just has worked best for me. And I have also found that soy and gluten don't work best within my body, but for somebody else, they might feel great eating those things. So it's all
Mhm.
about sticking to what makes you feel best. And I've spoke on that. I just wanted to reiterate that before I got into the tips.
Disclaimer.
Yeah, just a disclaimer, but I have 5 tips. The first tip is swapping out your animal-based protein in your meals with plant-based alternatives, and we listed a few of those earlier, like the lentils, beans, quinoa, seeds, and nuts. So if you're someone who's worried about the protein, even though I gave you a little info on the protein, these are definitely your go-tos. These will help if you're trying to do any muscle gain or weight gain. These are going to be some great things, especially sweet potatoes.
Mhm.
Love me some sweet potatoes. My favorite thing is grocery lists and meal planning. Something I love to do is Sunday, every single day, Sunday of the week. I type out everything that my household is eating for the week and I post it on the refrigerator. So we know what we're eating, and I have a list before I go to the store on maybe Monday. Sometimes I go to the markets on Wednesdays, and I know exactly what I'm going to get. And this helps me staying within a budget and not strain and going to the grocery store when I'm hungry and just putting whatever I want because I'm so hungry and I just want to eat the whole store. So that's number 2. Number 3 is sticking to a whole food plant-based diet when you're looking to try out the vegan diet because it is less expensive. Plus, you will feel the optimal benefits of that.
I wanted to add on actually to your point of like the meal planning and like,
Mhm.
how to even start. I think for my input with how to do that is like everyone thinks of their meals as like a meat, your carb, and I don't know, fiber. I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's like instead of looking at it as like rice, chicken, and potatoes, let's say, look at it
Mhm.
as in like quinoa, beans, or lentils, and in a salad.
Yeah, and a
It's like,
vegetable. That's my favorite
yeah,
thing.
That's what I like to do. I like to think of my meals like, okay, what's going to be like my protein? Okay, what's going to
Mm-hmm.
be added to that? And
And
then
then a
I'll have a
healthy
fat.
fat.
And yeah,
I'll add
that's
in like,
yeah.
love topping off with some avocado.
Yes.
Mm. Mm.
And for my salads, it's like most of my salad, like I don't use salad dressing nowadays. I just pour on an oil, usually olive oil
Yeah.
or flaxseed oil or grapeseed
Mm-hmm.
oil, and then I'll mix it with
Yes.
like lime juice or lemon juice, salt and pepper, oregano. Done. It's
And
good.
it's good.
It's
Like,
good.
especially once you add the zest of that lime
Hmm.
and lemon, it's
You
like
need that.
a little salt guy when he sprinkles the salt.
So
It's like
good.
ta-da!
Yes, but
But yeah, so number 4 in my tips is following plant-based food bloggers like myself for inspiration, recipes, and health tips, because sometimes I'll have days where I'm like, I don't know what to cook, or
hmm
like I'm having like a bit of a dead moment. I'm tired of eating the same exact foods, and I'll see somebody post something like, "Ooh, I'm gonna make that for dinner too." Like that's gonna be on my list next week. So
hmm
drawing inspiration from other people and seeing like how they combine foods can be different from you, and taking that on and learning from that. My 5th tip, which I think is very important, I would actually recommend for everyone to try out first, is watching documentaries about a vegan diet and the benefits of them. Two of my favorites are both on Netflix, and the first one is Game Changers, which talk about vegan athletes and how they exercise and how they reap benefits from a plant-based diet. And then the second one is What the Health, which goes into exposing some of the dark secrets of the meat and dairy industries and really getting into the plant-based information and health and nutritional information on a vegan diet. So I would really suggest looking at those before diving in and seeing if this is something you want to try out.
and a lot of people actually like that started their vegan journeys or that made them that
Yes.
prompted them to make the switch. I think What the Health is a really popular one. I think yeah, I
Yeah.
watched that
I
one.
loved What the Health.
Yeah, that one's good. So you mentioned those are really great tips and guides that'll help people. I think that, if they take it into account, that they actually will start to learn and explore more, which is always what we want people to do. We want them to learn. We
Yes,
want you to explore for yourself and see what
exactly.
works for you. But one of the things we have in common, and I've always had conversations with you about it, is like the content that I share on YouTube
Mm-hmm.
and Instagram, and sometimes feeling filtered. And I remember asking you one day to like that my content has been gotten filtered more so on Instagram, like when it comes to sharing food. And I asked you to look at my first post to the current day post I had. And I was like, look at how in the beginning I just didn't care. I was just talking about all like anything I wanted to. And she's like, and then you were like, yeah, you were so different back then. You were more open. And I was like, yes, it was because no one really knew me yet. And I didn't have my face
Mm-hmm.
up on there. But I feel like when I brought my face on there and when I, gained a following, that kind of put pressure on me to like kind of contain and make myself like this picture perfect person. But
Exactly.
and then you had said the same thing. You're like, yeah, you feel that sort of pressure and stuff. Because I asked you, I was like, why aren't you on YouTube and like why don't you,
Right.
expand from there? But you also you had the same sentiments. What do you think about that?
Well, with everything in life, I have discovered, and most people discovered, that you are your biggest enemy. Like, I am the only thing in between, I am the only thing stopping myself from achieving my goals. Like, over the years, I have definitely shied away from my usual outgoing self. And I become very distant from the world around me. And I've talked to you about that in terms of I went from being someone who hosted events with hundreds of people, running organizations, reporting the news, to someone who doubted herself and made excuses and scared to put myself out there. And I feel like I finally reached a point where I don't want to procrastinate on my dreams any longer. I'm going to stop waiting for the right moment, because if I continue to wait, I'm going to be waiting my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
The right moment is always now. And one of my favorite books, I just like posted this quote from one of my favorite books that came to me as such a life-changing moment in my life. And it's called The Power of Now. If any of you guys are ever stuck or need a little motivation and maybe dealing with anxiety or anything of that nature, I would recommend this book. One of the quotes says, "When you become comfortable with uncertainty, infinite possibilities open up in your life. And it means fear is no longer a dominant factor in what you do and no longer prevents you from taking action to initiate change. And I truly live by this quote. So it's like now when I speak of something, we were just talking about this, something I want in the future, physically, mentally, or emotionally, I speak as if it's already mine because I know that's how the universe works. And whatever I put out there will come right back to me. So yeah, right now I'm focusing on being more active on my blog and planning to expand to other platforms like YouTube in the future. Just staying positive, and seeing people put themselves out there too. Like seeing you put yourself out there has definitely inspired me too, because it's like, she can do it, I can do it too. Like it may not be easy for her, but she's doing it and she's presenting it like it's easy.
And like the same way that I'm inspiring you, I'm inspired by other people, by their courageousness, by their vulnerability as well. So it's like it keeps going, it keeps giving, because I didn't wake up and want to do this. Yeah. It was just like I got inspired too, and I was just like, you know what, I'm going to do it. Feel the fear and do it anyway. Literally has been my motto this year. And also just 2020 being a very unpredictable year. Like, look at how crazy this is. I'm like, I'll be damned if I don't do what I want to do because I'm scared. You know what I mean? Exactly. Like, no. I'm going to take my chances. I'm going to really, and it's hard to do, right? It's not easy, but I'm making the conscious decision to like do something out of the ordinary for me because I want to see the growth. That's on the other end of it.
And that's the thing. Like, life is about jumping off. And here's the thing, when you jump off, sometimes you're going to fall. You're going to fall hard, but it's about getting up, getting back on, and jumping off again. And keep doing it, because every time you jump off, you become more skilled. You have a lesson that you've learned from. You become stronger and just overall a better person. And you learn from those mistakes and you keep going. Those who are successful, they've had millions of mistakes and millions of setbacks, but that didn't stop them.
Yeah. We're on the same page, we're on the same
literally wavelength. Everything I'm like, preach girl, preach.
Okay, what do we say now? Do you have any other notes to say, or should I like wrap it up? I don't know.
I think I have shared people my life story. I've told people that I had heavy periods. I just gave them everything of me.
Good. That's what you want to do.
Yeah.
So exciting.
I want you to know that this is real life. I am a womb man. Is that how you say it? A womb man? You know how people say like
yeah, like WOME. Yeah. I've only seen it in text, never heard it.
So I think that's why it's a bit hard. It's a bit difficult.
Okay, I'm trying to think of how to wrap this up.
I'm so excited to see how this is gonna come together. Because the way you edit, is this how like most of your conversations? I know you've only had a few go, and you have so much to edit like this.
Kind of.
I feel like this might be your most work one.
No, the one I did today was like a lot of work, because I was like, because like there was a part that I wanted to cut, and then it was just such a sharp cut, so you could tell that I cut it. It was just weird. I don't know. I tried my best. It's whatever. I'm not professional, so I'm not.
Look, it sounds professional, so
thanks,
girl. It does. I'm like, I love it, and then it's on Spotify, which is so convenient. And usually on Spotify they don't let me rewind, so I was happy that I could rewind because I don't have premium. But I still don't have premium, and I can rewind, fast forward in a podcast. I'm like, oh, let me go back to that one part. I need to hear this again.
Good. No, I feel like you've been, you were my supporter before I even launched my podcast. And I already told select few people just because I just want to contain the energy. But like, I knew when I tell you that you were going to be like, yeah, girl, do it. I'm going to listen to it. Yeah. Like, you were excited. You were almost more excited than me.
Yeah. That's the thing though. I think I find myself being so much more excited than other people, but it's like because I really can't picture people. And I see this is your link. Like, this is going to be the one that does it for you. Like, this is the thing that encapsulates everything together.
Yes.
You're going to wake up one day and it's just going to be like, boom, like, wow.
I'm so
Yes.
excited.
And I want people to know that I see that in them, because sometimes when we feel some type of way about ourselves, we're like, yeah, I know I can do it. But when you see somebody else see it too, you're like, dang, I must really good. So when I feel that way about somebody, I want to express that to them. So I want them to really know just how much power they have and just how talented they are. That's important.
Wow. Thank you, girl.
Of course. Of course.
And all of this because of a DM slide. I'm telling you, people, I am pro
DMs.
Because you never know. You never know.
I've met so many amazing people off the internet. People who support me more than people I know in real life.
I know. Why is it like that?
Yeah, ask questions. You don't know unless you ask. Some people are like, this might be a stupid question, but I'm like, no, it's not a stupid question, because it's better for you to ask it's better for you to ask instead of assuming or just going your whole life. Man, I wonder if I just would have asked her this, like, would she have responded? Like,
of course.
I mean,
well, you never know. You never know. And I think that's
exactly.
That's what I love about. That's what I love about it. I love how Instagram has made everyone seem like everyone kind of more accessible. And it's like, I'm gonna just shoot my shot or just slide in the DM, and whatever happens, happens. And we'll go talking.
Like, do you want to work with me on this? And sometimes we're like, heck yes, I'm so happy you asked me.
Exactly.
And sometimes, like, you don't get a reply. But either way, you asked. You asked.
No, this is beautiful. Because this is like a beautiful friendship. And like, I know one day we'll meet.
Oh, I'm coming to Toronto.
Okay.
I'm coming. Like, she's probably like, wait, so how often do you come to America?
Me?
How often? Yeah.
Too often, I feel like. The last time I was there was in Hawaii. That was last year. But I've never been to Michigan.
Wow.
That's where you're from, right? Michigan.
Yeah.
Wait, is Michigan the city or the state? Michigan
state. And then Detroit is like where you can drive right over the border thing.
Okay, yeah. No, I've never been to those areas. I've been to like the big cities like New York, Vegas, Miami.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Well, then, I mean, I just want you to know Michigan is not all that grand.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know.
But it's not what they portray. Like, it's not bad, but it's just like, it's just chill. It's chill.
Actually, okay, yeah. Come to Toronto. You'll love it here. All the Americans that I've met that I ask, like, how do you like it? They're like, I love it here. So
yeah,
definitely come.
All the people I've met from Toronto are very friendly.
Oh, you've met others like via Insta?
No.
Oh,
I think I don't think I've actually. You know what? It's my sister's side of the family, and they were just really friendly. And they told me that they leave their doors unlocked there.
Yeah. No, I mean,
but this was like anymore. I'm saying all the people, but I'm telling you, this was like 7 years ago. But I remember they were really nice.
Yeah, no, we are. I don't know what it is. That's why I can't survive in New York. I couldn't.
Oh, yes. Man, I've never even been, but I used to live in Chicago. But I liked Chicago. I like the people in Chicago.
Okay, well, I only see bad things about Chicago, so I don't know. Oh,
see, look, don't listen to the video, because that's like saying I only see bad things about Detroit. People in Chicago would ask me, wait, is this going on the podcast?
I don't know yet.
Please don't.
Okay.
People in Detroit, when I went in Chicago, they would ask me like, have you ever been shot at before? So I'm like, oh yeah, I'm from Detroit, Michigan. I'm like, they're like, do you have any gunshot wounds? I'm like, if anything, stupid. Chicago is, you know who was asking me that. You know who was asking me that. I'm like, if anything, Chicago's worse. But they described Detroit like, you walk in here, you walk into a war zone. Like, it's actually very gentrified now. You have people walking their dogs and everything. Like,
wow.
The media doesn't show you that.
Well, that's not a good thing either that it's gentrified, but
oh yeah, I don't agree with that, because you have people getting kicked out of their homes.
That's so sad.
Pushing them into small places, and it's not good.
Okay. What was the last point I said for this? Oh, you never know what can happen when you sign the DMs. Who said that? Yeah. And then I want to be like, and then I'll be like, so, and then this is gonna be my like thank you for joining me.
Yeah.
And then that'll be my end, and then I'll stop recording.
Yeah.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. So I want to thank you again, Alexis, for joining me on my podcast. I was so excited to get you on here because I know that you were a little nervous, but about being on this. But like, look, it's like nothing. It was natural. It was a
It was
conversation.
so easy.
Exactly.
And that's a prime example of your mind can sometimes really play tricks on you. So I'm just happy I did it. And thank you so much for inviting me. I hope everyone was able to gain something from our conversation or even just relate to what we were talking about. I really had so much fun. This was a great talk. As always, though.
And then again, where can people connect with you?
You can connect with me on Instagram at Alexis Kennedy, 3_, or on Twitter at plant-based Lexi, Lexi. And those are my 2 social medias.
For
Hopefully,
now.
maybe a YouTube. Yeah, maybe a YouTube in the future.
All right. Well, thank you so much again, girl. Great discussion. Learned so much. Thank you for sharing.
Yes, thank you. Bye, guys.
All right.